Hello and welcome to Capacity TV. My name is Natalie Bannerman, Deputy Editor at Capacity Media. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Mark Pestridge, the Senior Director of Customer Experience at Telehouse Europe, as well as Sami Slim, Deputy Director at Telehouse France. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Natalie, thank you.
Perfect. So I'm going to start with you, Sami. As we know, Telehouse has undergone, a major expansion of its European operations. We've been hearing a lot about that, particularly over at Capacity. And that also includes the Mani data center. How does that facility meet the needs of customers that kind of require large data flows, which I know is a kind of key selling point of that particular facility?
Yeah, absolutely. So Mani indeed is the suburb data center, the southern Paris suburb data center that we have today in France. So we have announced actually a major expansion in most of our campuses around Europe, but specifically this one is indeed interesting because it's a capacity data center that is directly connected to our Voltaire center, which is the most connected data center in France today. So the real exciting news for us is that this is a data center where we will be able to provide 15 megawatt plus starting 2023, and that we can increase to several hundred megawatts because it's a huge campus that is connected in 400 gig to Voltaire core networks, meaning that any Voltaire customer that is in the center of Paris that wants to extend more in terms of capacity can use Mani as a virtual extension of Voltaire. That's why we're particularly excited about this news indeed. And starting 2023, we will be deploying our first customers into this new extension.
Wow. Exciting times. Okay. So then, Mark, if we kind of keep, in keeping with this European kind of expansion theme, we also know that Telehouse expanded its London Docklands data center campus. From your perspective, what was the kind of key driver behind this decision?
Yeah, I think we've seen a huge amount of demand for the current campus. We opened Telehouse North to us, as you're aware, in 2016. By the end of this year, that building, which is 7 floors of IT space, will be full. So we needed space to grow into, really because of our client demand. So our existing customers were really looking for opportunities to expand and leverage the kind of service provider community, the opportunities for peering, and the ability to collect into some of the world's largest cloud providers within our data center campus. So it was almost imperative for us, really, that we expanded the current campus to give our current customers the opportunity to do that. But we were also seeing more demand from perhaps areas that weren't so prominent in terms of Telehouse previously in London. I'm thinking particularly of financial services, but also media type organizations who are beginning to really see the benefits of the 3 things I mentioned: the service provider community, cloud provision, and also peering.
Yeah, absolutely. And 3 areas I think that were very much dominating the industry as at large, to be honest with you, just in terms of the things that we're hearing about these days. I mean, if I can go back to you then, Sami, then, we also heard about KDDI's first data center in Paris that launched last year. Why was kind of Paris the ideal place, or I suppose location, for its, KDDI's first data center facility? There must be something very unique about that particular location.
Yes, the unique thing about it, it's actually the same logic than London Docklands, is that this first KDDI facility was actually expanding Voltaire connectivity, because it's the same connectivity site, meaning the same meat mirror that is shared between Voltaire legacy site, which is the most connected site in the country, number 5 in the world in terms of interconnection, and the KDDI site, Léon Fro site, is actually a pure extension of that space in terms of connectivity, even though in terms of facility, it's a brand new facility with very high density. The thing is that we have planned a 5 megawatt site that would be delivered between 2021 up to 2024, phase by phase, because this type of site, which is very ISP oriented, very connectivity oriented, is usually deployed rack by rack. but the success was so huge on that site that we have decided to actually deliver it at once. So now we are doing the full 5 megawatt this year, and it will be actually fully sold out by the mid of 2022, because again, the demand on connectivity in Voltaire and by extension in Léonfroid has been exceeding our expectation. And we are forecasting the same success, we hope, at least in Docklands, because again, it's the same logic. Telehouse will extend all its existing sites, especially the ones that are delivering pure traffic and connectivity value to customers.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, also then, if we kind of stay in that kind of in France, so to speak, you know, Marseille, as we know, particularly something I cover quite extensively just because of my interest in the subsea space, but we know that, you know, Marseille is, you know, a hub in terms of subsea cable connectivity. And we also know about Telehouse's Marseille POP. You know, how is Telehouse kind of maximizing on that opportunity and you know, in terms of that connectivity in that city? And I suppose what is the kind of, without wanting to state the obvious, what's the benefit for the end customer here?
Yeah, absolutely. So Marseille is an exciting project for us because it's a new city in Europe that we are opening. It's been a while since we haven't opened a new city. Since now we have focused on expanding our existing ones. And as you mentioned, Marseille is a huge hub. And for years now, for over 7 years actually, it has been trusted by only one major carrier in terms of data center. And that has reached kind of a ceiling for the growth of the city, because customers want vendor security, vendor diversity, and dual sites. And this is where the opening of Telehouse Marseille first site, it was an opportunity for our customers, because thanks to our presence now in there, for example, these submarine cables can arrive into 2 POPs, not only one, within the same city, meaning they can deliver diversity to their end customers from the same cable. So that if anything's happened in the data center that is the first one, let's say as a POP, our data center, Telehouse, can take over the service and continue bringing the traffic from the customers. So this is basically the value that we are bringing to that market: vendor diversity and new data center, neutral carrier data center. So we'll be 2 big players in that city for a growth that is huge. Today, the city has 160 terabytes of capacity installed for 14 cables. It is forecasted to double in the next 5 years. So there is room for everybody to grow, and there is room for us also to grow tremendously in that city. And finally, our main driver into this connectivity strategy is that as we are positioned in London, in Paris, and in Frankfurt, within that traffic flow of customers. So our focus is getting the traffic more than the kilowatts itself. We are not a real estate player, we are a connectivity player. So while having that strategy in mind, we think that the axis between Marseille, Paris, Marseille, London, Marseille, Frankfurt will maximize the market value for any submarine cable landing there, and any customer wanting to serve the African region, Middle Eastern region from the 3 main hubs, which are London, Paris, and Frankfurt. So that's basically our strategy there. I think we will be discussing that a lot in the future with you, especially Natalie. I know you are also very interested in the submarine type of discussion, but that's a very, very exciting strategy that we are deploying right now.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear that you know, that Marseille very much still has the potential for growth, because I think it is very much a hub. So it's great to hear that it's still going, and I very much echo your sentiments in terms of vendor diversity. I think that's the name of the game these days. So perfect. All right, well, Mark, switching back to you then, you know, we also heard about you know, the refurbishment of Telehouse North data center in London. Talk to us about the benefits of that you know, investment, because I'm sure it's not a decision that's come about very easily. So, you know, what was the decision behind that?
Yeah, no, I think it's another exciting project for us. I think we have been, and we continue to see, significant demand for customers to be specifically in Telehouse North. You know, as you know, it was opened in 1990. It's the heart of connectivity in the Docklands, and we had customers that wanted to be there and still want to be there today for obvious reasons. The challenges we had were that whilst they wanted to be there, we didn't necessarily have the power density or the power capacity for modern day demand. So it's a decision we made to not only refurbish, but to increase the power density to each of the single racks or each of the areas within the new suite that we've built there. But also from a resiliency perspective, we needed to bring resiliency standards up to modern day requirements. So we put added redundancy in there. So I guess what we're saying is that we can give customers their desire to be in Telehouse North, but we can still enable them to use the equipment they need today at the power density today with the redundancy that their business requires. So that was the key driver behind it. And I think, we've refurbished one large area so far, and we'll continue to refurbish as customers hand back space, as they inevitably do, and we'll continue to give people that opportunity to expand in kind of one of London's iconic data centers, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose in the data center space, things like redundancy and resiliency is paramount. And it's kind of good to hear about, upgrading existing facilities, as opposed to like building new every time. So that's really cool. So my last question then, big question, but an important one. What are the strategic priorities for the company as we kind of head into 2022? Because I don't know about you, but the year has certainly gone fast, and I'm sure we're all kind of looking ahead as to what's next.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's been a long year, but a short year, if that makes sense. This last year, I think we're really clear as an organisation. We've been through 30 years already, and it's been an amazing time. Things have evolved very fast, but we're looking forward to the next 30 years. And I think the key for us is we're on this goal and this mission to become or deliver a 5-star data center service. In order to do that, I think we've got to really look at 2 key areas. The first is around driving operational excellence, so making sure that everything we do within our campus is done to the highest possible standards. And the second area is making sure that the customer experience is a really positive one from the moment that they engage with us all the way through their life cycle with us. So that's through any legal negotiations they may have, that's through any sales negotiation they may have, and then right into their kind of client service management cycle as they go through the whole business. And that's really, really important for us to do that. And kind of allied to that, it's really imperative that we really get a lot closer to our customers. So not just understand that they're in our data centers, but why they're in our data centers, how their needs are evolving and changing as time goes through, and then how we can continue to enhance and develop our service to give them what we need moving forward. So I guess it's a bit of a cliche, but it's putting the customer at the heart of everything that we do and really understanding what they're trying to do. And then we can continue to enhance and develop that. And behind that, as well as investing in Telehouse South, which we talked about, the refurbishment of North, but also Marseille and Magny, we're also looking to invest in our back office applications and system and processes to make us more lean, more efficient, more effective, again, driving a stronger customer experience. So that drive towards being a 5-star data center is really key for us as we go into 2022 and beyond, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I definitely think that customer experience is what really differentiates one from the other. So I think you got it right on that one.
Certainly
absolutely.
does. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that was my last question. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much to our audience as well for tuning in.
Very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.